Hi everyone, and welcome to Factoring Quadratics. This is a quadratic right here. You know quadratics by this x squared term here. We've looked at, say, linear equations before, equations that make lines if we graph them, and we've seen slope-intercept form there. Y equals mx plus b. You'll notice that the x in that does not have an exponent. There's no squared term. So when we see a squared term right here, like this one, we know that we're dealing with a quadratic. So this is the general form of a quadratic. It's x squared plus bx plus c. Now you may be thinking to yourself that whoever made this up does not know the alphabet very well, because there should be an A somewhere, right? Well, we will look at these a little bit later on where there's an A right here, but they're just a little bit more difficult. So today we're going to look at ones that have what we call a leading coefficient of 1, okay, that little invisible 1 right there, that just are going to look like x squared plus bx plus c. And remember, those b's and c's, those letters at the beginning of an alphabet, are going to be numbers when we actually look at the problems that they give us. So let's look at one. We got x squared plus 7x minus 8, okay, and so you can see that this is going to match up exactly x squared plus bx plus c, right? You're probably saying, but there's no plus sign right there, right? Well, remember, whenever we have a subtraction sign, whenever it's minus there, we can always change that into plus a negative. So this is really just like plus negative 8, okay? So we would have a b of 7 and a c of negative 8. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to make this look like this right here. Okay, we're going to change it from a bunch of things that are added together into two things that are multiplied by each other. That's what factoring means, is to break it down into things that are multiplied times each other. Okay, so we can even just start out, before we do any math at all, by looking at what is this going to look like in general. So we know that we're going to have parentheses and this x, so just like the b and c and the m and n, that those are towards the beginning of the alphabet, so they're numbers. Letters towards the end of the alphabet are x, are y, z, w sometimes. Those are going to represent things that will be variables in our actual answer. Okay, so we can already start out with our x's in parentheses, making sure that we're leaving a lot of nice space for us to put this plus m and this plus n in here. Okay, just to show us what is it that we're going for. What is our answer going to look like there? Next thing that we want to do is we want to make our little x factor chart. Okay, just draw a nice big X right there, and then we're going to put b and c into this x. Okay, we remember where to put them. B is 7. Okay, so b is for bottom, so we're going to put this 7 on the bottom right here, and c is for ceiling. Okay, remember, c is negative 8, not positive 8, negative 8. So we put our negative 8 here. Now, if you put a positive 8 there, then horrible, terrible things are going to happen, and it's just not going to work out, and you're probably going to start crying, and it's going to be very sad. So make sure you have that negative with you. It's very important to have. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to look for two factors of 8, okay, two things that multiply together to give us negative 8 that will add together to give us a positive 7. So let's just go over here real quick, and we're going to just make ourselves a nice little factor tree for this negative 8. So we have negative 8s, and we can factor that into negative 1 and positive 8. And remember, that will also give us the two factors, positive 1 and negative 8. And then similarly, we have negative 2 and positive 4. And we could also say that that would be positive 2 and negative 4. Okay, so now that we have our factors, we're looking for factors that are going to multiply together to give us the negative 8. Okay, so we have those. And which ones will actually add up to be positive 7. So if we do negative 1 plus 8, that will give us positive 7. Okay, if we did negative 2 plus 4, that would give us positive 2, and that's not what we want. So if we switch the negative around and had positive 1 and negative 8, well, that would give us negative 7. So if this were a subtraction sign here, then we would choose positive 1 and negative 8. But since we want that 7 to be positive, we're going to choose our negative 1 and positive 8. And those numbers are going to come right here, and they're just going to fill in our little x. So we have negative 1 and positive 8 right there, okay? So what those numbers do is they will come in and fill in for our m and n, okay? We just put these right in there. That negative 1 We're going to put a minus 1. We could put plus -1 if we wanted to, but just, to make it a little nicer, we just put minus 1. And then we have a positive 8, so we're going to do x plus 8. And there we go. That's factored. That's our entire answer.